The circumstances of Pope Francis' election had already sent shockwaves through the global church. Two popes with differing views and approaches, sharing space in the smallest country in the world, was a test which proved for many an indicator of Pope Francis' personality.
He knew what he wanted to do with the papacy, he knew what he wanted to bring to it. So in fact, far from seeing Benedict living in the Vatican as an obstacle, he saw it as a tool in a sense he could use. He developed a very close and warm friendship with Pope Benedict. Benedict said on numerous interviews that he felt very protected by Pope Francis. And yet, at the same time, Francis was able to chart a very different way forward.
Those differences were seen not just in a less formal approach, but also in the priorities which Pope Francis identified for his papacy.
He really wanted to focus on what he called the poor church for the poor. So I think certainly his attention towards the poor, the marginalized, migrants, any of the exploited, and also, he really made a big focal point of his papacy as well, the issue of climate change. He really wanted to make sure that this was an issue that people were paying attention to.
Alongside the Pope's social concerns were questions of church reforms on issues ranging from homosexuality to women priests. For much of his papacy, Pope Francis was caught between the worries of conservative Catholics who feared that reforms were moving too fast and the disappointment of liberal Catholics who feared that reforms were not moving fast enough.
He was a bit of a maverick to everybody, to, what people would call his own camp, maybe the more progressive camp in the Catholic Church that he was associated with, and the conservative camp. And I think Francis is somebody that did not fit into either of those molds. His pastoral approach, for example, to issues such as communion for divorced and remarried Catholics, he didn't offer a blanket open door, but he opened the door.
Some of the harshest criticism of Pope Francis surrounded his handling of the ongoing issue of clerical abuse.
He wasn't slow to, critique and denounce clerical abuse itself. I think he was slow to understand the nature of the cover-up, to understand the institutional forces that were at play. I think in the Vatican, the lack of transparency around these issues, the lack of authority given to the various committees and commissions that were set up to deal with the issue of clerical abuse, I think he slowed that down in a sense, not by any deliberate action or desire to slow it down, but I suppose not approaching it with the earnestness that I suppose had been necessary.